that for every product or every ability they'll be on our shelves here, we need to be insisting that we have access to their shelves, to their marketplaces. That's not happening, and it needs to stop.
Senator, thank you. Senator Edwards, China, is it an ally or an adversary?
China is a competitor, but besides all the things that have been said, and these statements are all correct about them holding American debt, about our trade deficit, no one's mentioned human rights abuses, but there are huge human rights abuses going on in China. But the other thing I want to mention is there's also a trade safety issue here. What about 2 million toys that have come into the United States and had to be recalled from China? How about the fact that we don't have real country of origin labeling that the United States of America actually enforces, so the American people know what they're buying, where it's coming from? We should have a President of the United States who enforces country of origin labeling. We should have a Consumer Product Safety Commission that's not looking out for big multinational corporations, but it's actually looking out for the safety of our children here in America.
Thank you, Senator Edwards. Congressman Kucinich.
The time to worry about China trade was really when some of my friends up here on the stage actually voted for most favored nation. Now, as president, my most favored nation is America. And I want to say, you know, there was a myth when I was growing up in Cleveland that if you dig a hole deep enough, you'll get to China. We're there. And we need to have a president that understands that and is ready to take a whole new direction in trade with China. Thank you very much. A working person's president. Thank you.
Congressman Kucinich, great thanks. A hint to our candidates. Our next topic will be of great interest to you. The subject will be Iraq after this break. And we're back at the AFL-CIO Forum with our presidential candidates. Thank you for your time here on MSNBC. And as we promised, the subject is going to be Iraq. And we're going to go down the line here in 30 seconds from left to right, starting with Governor Richardson. Here is something that an Iowa voter has answered. If you get us out of Iraq and somehow al-Qaeda takes over anyway, what will you do then?
I will take whatever steps are necessary to protect the security of the United States. By withdrawing from Iraq, the real peace and reconciliation in that country can begin. We can get the three groups together. We can have an all-Muslim peacekeeping force. We can have a donor conference to rebuild that country. And then we can focus on what really affects American foreign policy, the fight against international terrorism, greenhouse gas emissions, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and third, a measure to ensure that there are no dirty bombs and a number of fissionable material around the world.
Governor, thank you. Senator Obama, that same hypothetical, and I know it's that, but this question is asked by a voter in Iowa. If you get us out of Iraq and somehow al-Qaeda does take over, what do you do then?
Look, if we had followed my judgment originally, we wouldn't have been in Iraq. We're here now, and we've got no good options. We've got bad options and worse options. It is my strong belief, and I introduced legislation back in January, that the only way we're going to stabilize Iraq and make sure that al-Qaeda does not take over the long term is to begin a phased redeployment so that we don't have anti-American sentiment as a focal point for al-Qaeda in Iraq. We can still have troops in the region, outside of Iraq, that can help on counterterrorism activities. And we've got to make sure that they don't establish long-term bases there. But right now, the bases are in Afghanistan and in the hills between Afghanistan and Pakistan. That's where we've got to focus.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Biden, what do you do if that hypothetical occurs?
Bush has not told the truth for 7 years. It's time we tell the truth. The truth is, if al-Qaeda establishes a base in Iraq, all these people who talk about going to Pakistan are going to have to send your kids back to Iraq. And so the fact of the matter is, it matters how we got out of Iraq. And I'm the only one on this stage that has a detailed political plan how to get out. Separate the parties. Let them be in regions. Give them control over their own security. Set up a limited central government. Begin to draw down our troops. But let's start talking the truth to the American people.
Thank you, Senator Biden. Senator Clinton, what do we do in that hypothetical?
Well, I have a three-point plan to get out of Iraq, starting with redeploying our troops, but doing it responsibly and carefully, because as many of the veterans in this audience know, taking troops out can be just as dangerous as bringing them in. And we've got to get out of Iraq smarter than we got in. Secondly, we've got to put more pressure on the Iraqi government, including withholding aid from them if they don't begin to stabilize the country themselves. And thirdly, we need an intensive diplomatic effort regionally and internationally. But if it is a possibility that al-Qaeda would stay in Iraq, I think we need to stay focused on trying to keep them on the run, as we currently are doing in Al Anbar province.
Senator Dodd, how do you handle this situation where we get out, you get us out of Iraq, and al-Qaeda does, against all prediction, take over?
Well, let me take 10 seconds. And first of all, this evening, there are a lot of young men and women serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. And whatever your views on policy in Iraq, every one of us owe them a deep debt of gratitude and appreciation. They haven't failed. Policy has. How about hearing it from men and women in uniform? Keith, I believe and have led on this over the last number of months here to begin redeploying immediately. We can do so with 2.5 divisions coming out each month, done safely and reasonably well. We then need to have a robust approach on diplomacy. This administration has treated statecraft and diplomacy as if it were a gift to our opponents, a sign of weakness. The United States has been successful in both Democratic and Republican administrations over the years when we have drawn the diplomatic arrow out of our quiver here to make a difference around the world. We shouldn't be selling arms to Saudi Arabia while they're refusing to support us in Iraq. We need to have a clear message to everybody in the region that we want them to be a part of the solution.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Edwards, what do we do in that situation where, against all of these predictions, al-Qaeda nonetheless